Well, happy Aloha Friday. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Ryan Kalei Suji. This is Spotlight Hawaii. Now, normally, of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Yanji Denise. She has today off, so it is just me here with all of you. We want to thank those of you who are already tuning in and encourage you to share this video. Today, we are going to be talking with not one, but two guests to talk about the having our team sports here on the island of Oahu resume, and where we are at the current tier system that has sort of limited what we are seeing with team activities. Joining me this morning is Councilmember Andria Tupola, as well as former football player Chad Owens. Thank you so much both for joining me this morning and being a part of this conversation. Councilmember, let's start off with you. If you can provide some context into where we're at with team sports under the current tier system. We know that was set up by the Caldwell administration. Team sports was actually listed all the way in tier 4. And so we wanted to get a better sense of where we're at now and what you guys are trying to do with the Safe Sport 808 initiative.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me today. You know, Chad and I have worked hard on trying to rally together the voices of coaches, athletic directors, parents, all of those that are concerned with the current tier system, and as well allowing outdoor sports, safe outdoor sports. So what we did was I proposed a resolution as my very first action in office as a council member. I am the chair of the Executive Matters and Legal Affairs Committee. We suggested that there be a working group convened so that we could come up with protocols. So there are many that don't know that the Department of Health was already in motion with this. They had already convened 2 task forces to come up with their guidelines that they would be listing on the Department of Health website. So everything was in parallel with the direction that we were moving. We convened this working group. We were able to put together a 44-page document that had something very easy for the guidelines and protocols for everyone to understand. We listed it as phases, and then we outlined with every sport that participated what the suggestions would be for masks, for equipment, for practice, for competition. So as we moved forward, Chad and I presented to the mayor of Honolulu. I just presented to Mayor Victorino yesterday. We have a city council member on Maui that's going to also be supporting, and on Kauai. So we're trying to rally this community support so that we can get a change in the current tier system to allow safe outdoor sports.
Chad, I want to get your thoughts on this. What was your involvement? How did you get involved, and what spurred this fire for you and this desire to start taking action on this?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about fire. I'm a local kid who needed every single opportunity to walk on. Right, I didn't get a scholarship. I had to walk on to the University of Hawaii, and playing sports is something I did my entire life. As a lot of these kids, it is their life. Let's just be honest. It's what gives them motivation to go to school, because they want to go to college and play sports and eventually, become a pro. That's their goals. That's their dream. So that's my fire, is to help these kids, my kids included, have the opportunity to be able to live out their dreams as I did. And, as Hawaii sports grows, as our talents are being noticed more so now than ever. I think per capita, we might have some of the best and some of the highest percentages of kids becoming pro athletes. So that's special. And, we don't want to lose that momentum. And, on the mental health side, it was alarming to me hearing that Hawaii is has the highest rate of teen suicide. I don't know if it was attempts, but just that whole, mental health aspect to this, those things really got me fired up and going. And I'm thankful for, Andria Tupola, who really spearheaded this thing, and we got this thing in motion and made it happen quick. And I'm extremely proud of what, we were able to put together. This is the standard. I talk about that. Andria knows. I talk about Hawaii. Man, it's time for us to be the standard. It's time for us to be the examples of how things can get done. We come from a very special place, and I just wanted to sort of present that.
Councilmember, you talked a little bit about some of the details of these phases. Can you outline what those look like and how you sort of laid this out in front of the mayor and to those and your colleagues that you work with?
Sure. Yeah. So phases is broken down into physical, health, equipment, active play. Chad's gonna have to help me. He has it in front of him. But
so physical, health, active play, safety, equipment, and spectators.
Oh yeah. So we we basically bundled it all into phases so that it's real simple for people to understand. Under physical, we addressed the fact that even prior to starting sports again, is to do a physical assessment. And this is not just, oh, can you stretch? Can you play the sport? This is, do you have underlying conditions such as asthma, respiratory issues? Is there an elderly group involved? Because we did have the ballroom dance group join us, where they do have higher risk populations. So the health one was just a pre-screening. When it went to the physical one. When it went to health, we basically outlined specifically how do you do temperature checks as well as keep records of all the athletes that are coming in. When there is an athlete that's tested positive, what is the protocol? Where do you quarantine that person? How do they then return back to sports safely? And there needs to be a return to play protocol that's a gradual phase in after COVID. And as well, it suggested that if 3 people test positive, that the team shut down and that they do an investigation to stop the spread. And they had suggested this to us from Utah because as soon as if they ever had 3 cases within a team, then they would shut down, because that means that they're spreading it within each other. They would go back to their protocols, figure out what went wrong. And I know in the NFL, when they did their breakdown of how they were able to minimize the spread, they found out that they were doing a lot of spread when the athletes were eating after. And so then they did the investigation, they stopped the gathering of eating, passed out food, and had the players leave after. So there's all this learning that we're going to do. The active play, we suggested exactly what needs to happen when you show up and you play for sports. Have your equipment separated. Make sure that there's pods that are suggested. When you go into spectators, we differentiated that from the active players, because spectators who are gathering, that is where a lot of the spread was happening. So limiting spectators when there's high community case count, making sure that there's announcements, making sure that there's signage at the actual venues that you're hosting it, that there's always hand washing stations. Then we did the ABCs of equipment, really simple. A, avoid sharing, avoid shared changing spaces. B, be prepared for practice. You're going to show up, you're going to get into practice, and then you're going to go home right after. And C, always clean and disinfect regularly. We went over the last one. What is the last one, Chad?
We had, there was equipment and then spectators. So I think you kind of hit all safety.
Oh,
you hit it all. Yeah, safety.
Yeah. So basically, when you look through this guideline, which is actually on the Star-Advertiser, hawaiiprepworld.com, you can look through this and easily understand how to implement this. And that's what we wanted. We wanted it to be so easy that any athletic director, any coach could be able to use this, train their staff, and then be able to start active play.
Chad, there obviously are some parents who may be concerned about just where we're at still with the pandemic. There's new variants that are being found, and there is still this fear in the community. How do you address some of those concerns that parents may have about their safety of their children and overall exposure, and trying to find this balance between allowing their kids to do something they want, but also their overall well-being?
Yeah, that's sort of a gray area, and that's every parent, it's going to come down to if there's a parent that doesn't want their kids playing because they feel as if there's going to be a higher risk, that's fine. That's going to be up to them. But just to throw it out there, the studies have been shown that the classroom is a higher risk for kids to contract, corona than sports teams, especially outdoor sports teams. So, that's going to be a judgment call. And, at the end of the day, we all know that physical activity is better for your health. And we know the statistics of this thing. And, I think we just need to follow the guidelines, follow the protocols, and almost just, believe that we have the things in place and we're gonna be okay. Because I'm just gonna tell you right now, there's already things going on. There's leagues happening, there's practices happening, people are doing it anywhere. The community is taking it into their own hands, and there's people out there, and I haven't heard of any outbreaks at all. So we just want to be able to, do it within a guideline and not just out there freelancing. So, that's kind of why I feel, and we feel, that there's a sense of urgency that, we can kind of put some order on it, because it's already being done. The people are frustrated. They're anxious. The kids are moving away. Parents hit me up. I get messages every single day. Hey, Chad, do you think when do you think football is going to start? And I'm sorry to just, I'm saying football because that's the message I get. I also get the sports messages, but say, hey, Chad, you know, because we're thinking about moving to Arizona, we're moving to Utah, and we don't want our athletes moving away. You know, we want them staying right here, representing Hawaii, and you know, that's to me is where we're sort of like not winning, right? We're not losing. I'm just saying we're just not winning right now. I just want to keep these guys here and give them that opportunity.
Whenever I can on to what he
and
said,
girls, excuse me.
We had a pediatrician give her thoughts about it as well in regards to sedentary versus active, right? And we're in a pandemic, a health pandemic, which the encouragement of healthy activity is good. Outdoor healthy activity is what's going to help us, what's going to help keep our immune systems up. So I would refer to that. Secondly, when we talked with the athletic director in Utah, what they were doing was active testing. So the athletic staff at this particular high school was testing not only athletes, actually, also band, drama, any extracurricular things that students were doing after school. They were doing regular testing to ensure that there wasn't a lot of spread and keeping records. So that's another part of how we're going to proceed safely, is that if we're keeping records and we're able to say, hey, in this particular sport, there was zero transmission because every game we kept track, every competition we were able to do a screening for each athlete that participated. I think that's where we're going to be grateful that there are guidelines as opposed to people doing underground leagues, which I know everyone wants to get out there and do it. We're suggesting that there be this safe way for us to proceed.
And so you mentioned all those, taking of temperatures and recording these documents and understanding where children are coming from and where they're at. Who would be responsible for regulating all of that, to making sure that they're following these guidelines that you have put together? What would be that body that would regulate and control and make sure that these kids and these teams are following the guidelines that you are presenting?
This would be a high level of coaches and athletic staff and personal responsibility. I just shared a post on my social media today about Oregon opening up contact sports as of last week. Crazy. So football's back on over there. But again, the comment that they made is, at this point, as coaches, as athletic directors, we have now a higher level of responsibility for this. So the athletic staff at the Utah facility that we spoke with, they basically said, we are doing 3 times more than we've ever done. We used to just do ticket sales, make sure the sports were running. Now we're doing a whole bunch of tracking. We keep our records. And the reason why it has to be at that level is because they are going to be the ones that are going to have to first administer any type of reaction if there is a positive case. And of course, we suggested in the guidelines and protocols that if there was, that they would transmit that to the Department of Health. So we are giving that level of responsibility all the way down to the parents and the coaches, but not having something written is where we're stuck right now. Having something written where we can suggest to parents, these are the things to do. This is going to give people something written to follow. And I think this would be enabling and empowering our parents and families to take precautions.
Chad, we're seeing some comments that come in here, and people are questioning, is this in regards to outdoor sports? Is this in relation for indoor sports? You had mentioned outdoor, obviously less, it poses less of a risk being out there, in something that's not confined to a gym, say. But where would this fall into? Do you have categories in terms of outdoor sports are allowed, gyms would take a longer time to come on board? What are your thoughts on where these athletes are playing?
Yeah. I mean, we got it all, right? If you go to the link that's on HawaiiPurple.com, we got indoor, outdoor. We have it all laid out. Every single sport we tried to get in there, and yeah, it's better to be outside. So hey, volleyball, is there outdoor courts? Yeah, there's some outdoor courts, but I don't think that if it's an indoor sport, it's a no-go. I just think that it's probably going to be no spectators, and the protocols and guidelines are in place. You follow that to a T, and you adjust accordingly. I think it's just, everybody's jobs that they were used to doing just got elevated, just got heightened. And you know what? If you're an administrator, if you're a athletic director, if you're a coach, if you're a parent that's like a team mom or team dad or whatever, volunteers, you don't care about the workload going up, because all you care about is your kid is able to do what they love and to play sports and to really mentally, get out of the funk that they're in. Because a lot of these kids are in that mental funk. And so I think parents, mentors, coaches, all of the above that I mentioned, they're going to be willing to go above and beyond the call of duty to get these kids back out there playing. As far as everyone that I've spoken to, that's kind of what I'm getting. And we just gotta go for it, man. We gotta go. It's time to go.
And I guess why we're saying the word outdoors, because it's listed in the tiers. So to be specific, that's why we're utilizing the word. It was listed in the tiers as outdoor sports prohibited until tier 4. The reason why we included every sport in our guideline is because someday every sport's going to be going. And is there an easy way to classify the risk level of these sports? Absolutely. If you read through our guideline, there's a risk assessment page where we say that low contact sports, less risky than high contact sports. And in fact, higher amount of contact is more risky than lower amount of contact, meaning, say, for example, wrestling, where you're in contact the whole time, different than, say, for example, water polo. Do you contact each other? Sure. Is it the whole entire game? No. So if you look through this risk assessment page, we gave this to our decision makers so that they could easily see, oh, there's classifications for the sports. Oh, there's a little picture of a house for indoor and trees for outdoor. Oh, this sport can go both indoor and outdoor. Okay, we're going to suggest that they go outdoor up to this point. So we're basically giving them everything they need in very easy categories of, is this indoor, outdoor? Is this contact, no contact? What do we do with masks? And what do we do with practice versus competition in regards to spectators?
Chad, you mentioned earlier, we got to go. It is February 12th here. And when you look at the athletic sports calendar year, the clock is ticking for those who are in high school and want to resume some sort of activity at a high school level. Where are you folks at with talking with the athletic association that runs the high school sports? Is this something that could realistically happen? Could we potentially see some form of high school athletics happening this calendar year?
Yeah, and we're talking about the DOE, and I know that it's a sticky subject because safety is everyone's number one priority. It's our number one priority, and it's not just safety for the athletes. Let's just be honest. This is safety for everyone. We understand that, but I said this before, and I'll say it here on live. The real pandemic is the health of our children, the mental health. I'm just going to go ahead and say it because that's the truth. I wish I could get my phone and read off a lot of the messages that I'm getting from kids, high school kids, about their mental health and how they went into a dark place and this and that. And like, thank you so much. You guys are giving us hope. I mean, I'm getting chicken skin, but that's the real pandemic, So I think, COVID is real. We understand that. But we're doing everything, in our powers. We're taking from the places that are successful. And we're bringing it here, and we've created Safe Sports Hawaii. And to be quite honest, Hawaii is probably the best place, best climate to fight, bacteria, germs. And I just, that's maybe a personal opinion, but when I say go, man, it is. Yeah, it's go time. I think people are getting antsy. I'm just gonna say that people are getting antsy. They're getting impatient, and I just want us to be able to roll this out, the right way, with the guidelines. And yeah, man, it's Valentine's Day in a couple of days. It's time to show some love, man. Let's go.
Yeah, Councilmember, what are you hearing in terms of the realistic chances that this will get through that allow sports to happen for high school athletics?
Right. I talked with Chris Chun, head of HHSAA, the other day. I actually talked with the chair of the Board of Education yesterday, Catherine Payne. So we are trying to get the DOE on board. And I felt like as a council member, my first step was going to be opening or helping to open city facilities for DOE usage. That's something that I have purview over, that I can actually influence. And that's why I decided to take that step. Now, what the DOE does is up to them. However, they did need the facilities so that they could proceed forward. So I felt like we were able to take that block away so that they could step forward if they wanted to. The chair of the Board of Education is very supportive of this. And I did tell Chris Chun from HHSAA, at this point, everything that you can do it. meaning like if you can practice in pods, if you are, following within the tier system and the guidelines, then do it. If you are able to work out, which we are all able to go outside and still do workouts and things like that, then proceed forward, because it's not just going to be the start of a competitive, say, for example, state championship game. It's going to be the lead up of it, the training for it, the conditioning for it. So my hope is that we already start and proceed forward with things that we should already be doing. Because I feel like a lot of people are waiting for like the big permission. Like, hey, when's the big permission coming? Hey, the little permissions are already all here. So start to do those things that are going to prepare your athletes in the event that in March, which, if you're following Mayor Blangiardi, he's giving a lot of breadcrumbs of where we're going here. He actually announced today that his amended tier 2 got approved by the governor. So they're going to, I'm going to do an interview later today about that, because we weren't in the amended tier 2, but could we be in an amended tier? We sure could. And now Mayor Blangiardi is challenging that status quo to the point where if we do get the green light in March or April, I hope that our kids are ready. I hope that they've been conditioning in the safe ways possible so that that can proceed forward. Perhaps it's going to be for cross country, archery, sports where there's no contact. I don't know those things, but I think in every way that it's safe to possibly proceed, we should.
And to that regard, have you had any conversations with the mayor, with any of your colleagues, anyone on the state level about this plan? And have you received any feedback or indication that this is something that they could see happening?
Yes, definitely presenting to the mayor. He gave us firsthand insight that he's supportive of this. He would like to do a press conference with Chad and I, but we're going to present our findings to the governor first. So we have we're waiting for a scheduled appointment with him. Presenting it to Mayor Victorino was very successful. Presenting it to the Board of Education was successful. Talked with Sean Quinlan, representative for the Laie Kahuku area. We all know that Kahuku can't do without sports. I asked him if they could get behind this at the legislative level. They said absolutely. Councilmember Mason Chalk from Kauai, they're introducing their resolution. Kiani Rollins from Molokai, Maui council member, they're introducing it next Thursday. So we've heard lots of positive feedback from our other decision makers, but there are steps that we need to get there, right? We have the superintendent we got to get through, but all of the peripheral areas where we can make a difference and influence, that's where I'm trying to chip away at this until we're able to actually get that amended tier for us.
And Chad, you mentioned that your kids play from a parent has children playing. How has this impacted just the overall recruitment side? We know that many of these high school athletes really need these seasons to further their collegiate experience in their career. How are you navigating through those times? And what are you hearing from other parents that are going through this process who have kids that are trying to get recruited but are limited based on what we see here now with this COVID-19 and how it's impacting our tier system?
Yeah, I spoke on it a little bit earlier. A guy like me, sort of a under the radar guy, Roosevelt High School kid, nothing against Roosevelt, but we didn't have the notoriety. I needed every single snap of every single game, all 4 years of my high school career, in every sport. I was a multi-sport athlete. So, it's extremely important for these kids, especially the seniors. My son is a senior. We moved here, back to Hawaii to give him a better opportunity to get noticed, to go to the next level, to compete against, Hawaii talent, which is amongst the top in the nation, at the high school level. So, it's extremely important, and yeah, it's affecting parents as well. This is affecting the mental health of parents. It's causing more stress for parents, more stress in the household, and we all know what that can do if the household is in a stressful environment. Parents are stressed, kids, it just trickles down. And parents are doing everything they can for their kids right now. They're talking about moving away, like I said. We just want to give our kids the best opportunity for them to be successful and live out their dreams. I mean, this is important. Like I understand that school is important, and I get a lot of comments, but what about school? Why are you putting sports before school? Well, you know what? The topic is sports. And we're talking about these athletes, and these athletes who are student athletes, right? We preach that. But these, and I can testify on a personal experience. I didn't like school. I wasn't into school. The moment I got my first F on a grade check and couldn't play a game, I was like, okay, I need to do better in school. And boom, light bulb went on, graduated with honors. I was eligible to go to college. I'm getting messages, oh, my kid's grade is going down. I got teachers that I know in school. I got ADs, all the athletes, all the grades tanking. Because they're unmotivated. They're unmotivated right now. So, school is important, but sports is the motivator for these kids to do well in school, to go on to college. And yeah, it's to play sports. Let's just be honest. But they're going to be getting a college education, and everyone matures at different levels in their lives. And when you go to college, maturity kicks in. A lot of things change. But if you don't have that opportunity, the chances of this happening does that.
Yeah, I feel like this is the problem that we're hearing in so many sectors of our community with COVID-19 is finding that balance between some sense of normalcy and trying to manage public health. And well, what you folks are saying is that you're presenting an option that will allow this sort of middle to happen, to keep children safe under the policies that you have set in place, but also under the guidelines that have been put forth by the CDC and so forth. As we sort of wrap up here, I can't believe it's already been half an hour. Time has certainly flown by, but wanted to just, again, get some final thoughts from each of you. Maybe Chad, we'll start off with you and close up with you, council member. But Chad, what is your message to those out there who are tuned in, who say, look, this is not worth it. We can wait a little bit longer till the end of this, and it poses too much of a risk for people. Parents are going to gather, they're going to watch your kids. What do you say to those who are doubting this program and this initiative that you folks are putting out?
Man, that's tough. I'm such a positive guy. I don't like the word doubt. I've been doubted. I've been challenged. I've faced adversity my entire life. That's why one of my sayings is adversity fuels me. And we've all been faced with adversity, but and everyone, look, things are just not for everyone. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but you need to make the best decisions for you and your family. So if you're a parent out there watching and you're on the fence and you're erring on the side of caution and rather wait till things are more clear or whatever it is, that's totally fine. That's perfect. But I'm going to say right now, the majority is, people want to go. They want to go. And yeah, the people that are on the caution side are worried that if sports comes back, numbers are going to spike. I think we're actually trending like this, and sports is happening right now. I'm saying that there is sports happening at every single park. On Oahu, sports is happening on the outer islands. It's going on. But yeah, the green light, everyone's just waiting to go. We need those guidelines. And for those that are in support, that want to go, I just encourage you to stay positive. As if you're a parent, continue to, you got to lead by example as well. You need to do the right things. You need to say the right things. Hey, and I fell victim to this too. Right? You got to understand what your kids are going through right now. Athlete or non-athlete, it doesn't matter, right? They're socially distanced right now from their peers and that social aspect of their lives. Where they should be interacting with people, they're turning more to their phones and getting drawn into other things that they shouldn't be drawn to. So we need to lead by example as parents, continue to encourage and to do all those things. And if you're an athlete right now, you got to stay ready so you got to get ready. That's a saying that goes without being said. Continue to grind, continue to train the best way you can, and believe that the opportunity will come. And like Andria said, you just, we got to be ready. And that's my message, man.
Thanks so much. Councilman, I'll give you the final word here. Your thoughts for those who still express some hesitation with allowing this sort of activity from happening where we're at right now in fear of any spread. What is your message to those who are still a little skeptical about this, and maybe your message as well to those who are in support and how they can find more information about what you guys are trying to do?
Sure. I did want to read a specific section of what was amended today because this is what's going to be important, is that our forward progress is already being seen and that there are already results. So this is what was amended to Tier 2. Now, for those of you who haven't read all the tiers, you can go to oneoahu.org and you can see where it was previously and how it's been amended. One of the things that was amended is that gyms and fitness facilities will now be allowed to operate indoors at 25% capacity. Prior to this, it was completely banned. So no indoors, and they were allowing some outdoors, but only in Tier 4. Now we're in Tier 2 and they're allowing it. It also says indoor group physical activities are allowed with no more than 5 people. We didn't have that before. Outdoor group physical activity classes allowed with no more than 10 people. What is an outdoor group physical activity? It's a team. So this is what was announced today. And this is why I want everyone to read through what Mayor Blangi already announced, because we are in 2021. We're making those modifications. And I feel like what we did, not Chad and I, what we did with coaches as athletic directors and the community. So if you look at that Safe Sports Manual, it says it's a community initiative because people from the community came together to make these protocols for it to happen safely. So I just want to thank everyone that's been involved. And I want to thank you as well, Ryan, for giving us this opportunity to share. There is more information at hawaiiprepworld.com where you can download that. And please do follow us at the City Council for the different initiatives that will be announced.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chad Owens and Councilmember Andria Tupola. Thanks for spending the morning with us and sharing with our viewers what you guys are working on with this Safe Sports 808 initiative. Mahalo.
Yep.
Aloha.
Right on.
And there you have it. Obviously, there's a lot of comments here that are coming in through this conversation. Many people on both sides who agree that children and youth sports should resume in our community and that high school athletics is something that they would like to see happen. While there are still a number of you who are very hesitant about where we're at with our current system in the tiers and not allowing this sort of activity from happening. We will wait to see if there were any amendments. As you heard from Councilmember Tupola, they are waiting for a meeting with Governor Ige to propose and to highlight what they have outlined in their initiative here to protect, as they say, these athletes, to allow them to resume activities. So we'll keep you posted on that meeting and how that goes, as we know that there has been some amendments to the tier system, as the council member just shared moments ago, that was added on to Tier 2. So stay connected with the Honolulu Star-Advertiser with any sort of developments as we continue to navigate through these times together. We'll be joined next week by the Lieutenant Governor. Obviously, vaccine still a top question by many in our community and the availability of vaccines. We've heard from the Lieutenant Governor about the ramp up that we would be seeing in the next few weeks. However, we do know that there has still been a lack of supply that has not allowed those shots in arms to happen at the rate in which people would like. And so we're going to get an update from him to hear more about that, as well as the Safe Travels Initiative and the plans that are happening there to see if there was any chance that neighbor island travel could be resuming anytime soon. We'll also be joined next week by U.S. Senator Brian Schatz, who will give his thoughts on the impeachment trial that is happening of former President Donald Trump, as well as an update on what is happening from the federal government in terms of financial assistance that may be coming down the pipeline in this latest round of CARES Act funding that is coming down from the legislation, from the Capitol, I should say. And finally, next week, Friday, a hot topic that we know that many of you continue to write in to us about, and that is unemployment. We will be joined by the Director of the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations. She will be here to answer your unemployment questions. An announcement was made just yesterday that those benefits should be rolling out next week. We'll get an update from her on all the things that are happening there, as we know that many of you are still waiting for some sort of payment and benefits from your unemployment checks. So we hope that you have a great weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you right back here on Monday at 10:30 on Spotlight Hawaii. Aloha.